I didn't get my water, you guys.
I didn't get mine either, but you know what? It's over because I didn't get mine either, and we're here. I have it in my bedroom, and I'm not gonna go.
Let's go get it. Let's go get it. It'll be 2 seconds. Let's go. What are we doing? What are you holding me captive?
I don't need it. I'm good. This is Where We Land, a podcast bringing you stories of immigration and multicultural identity. I'm Luciana.
And I'm Claudia. And before we begin today, we want to tell you guys that if you'd like to share your immigration story, share a culture clash of your own that you've experienced in your life, share your current fave of either your culture back home, American culture, you can write to us at wherewelandpod@gmail.com. And we might share your story here on the podcast. So once again, that's wherewelandpod@gmail.com. So write to us. Can't wait to hear from you guys.
So what have you been up to?
Oh my gosh, what have I been up to? Let's see. I can't believe I'm going to bring this up again. But I finished Andor. I finished it. It's so good. God. I cried my eyes out. I cried so much. It's so good.
I feel like it hasn't been that long since we talked about it. So I'm just concerned about you're clearly binging. We're in a binging.
Well, okay, so they're doing this thing. We talked about how it's back in style. We talk about it in the episode.
Release weekly, yeah.
Yes, that it's back in style to release weekly. And Andor's been doing this thing where they release 3 episodes every Sunday.
Oh, so they're like batch releasing. Okay.
Yes.
So you can kind of binge.
Yes, because they're like mini arcs. So it's like 3 episodes is 3 days in 1 year, and then the next Sunday it's like a year later, 3 days, 3 episodes. A year later, the next Sunday, 3 days, 3 episodes. So they're meant to be binged because they're like in this little mini arc. But they're like 1 hour episodes, so it's like 3 hours of content that I never get through on the Sunday. I always like throughout the week. And since we're at the end of the week, I just finished it, and it was a tearjerker, and I need you to watch it because I need to have like a 1 hour conversation about it.
Okay. It's on the list. There's somebody, you know what, but it's good because as you know, I'm traveling coming up. I'm traveling in the next week, so I need something bingeable. What platform is it on again? Why don't you just do the whole promo? Apple, okay. Are they paying you?
No, it's not an Apple. Oh my God.
Okay.
Sorry, it's on Disney.
It's on Disney.
It's on Disney. But Disney's that weird platform that I'm never on because it's like a bunch of kid stuff.
Yeah.
And whenever I see a show, I don't know why it reminds me of an Apple show, an Apple TV show, because Apple TV shows are kind of quirky and kind of weird. I don't know.
I'm really enjoying, speaking of Apple, I'm really enjoying the studio on Apple.
Haven't gotten to it.
Oh, no,
I haven't seen anything except for Andor. I haven't seen anything.
You need to watch it. It's so good. Seth Rogen is amazing. It's so good. It gives you all the behind the scenes stuff. Like you get into it, but it's hilarious. Oh my God, I am laughing the whole time.
I can imagine. I really like his humor. His humor, I think, applied to his industry.
Yeah.
Being himself being someone who has like started from the bottom and like made his way in all kinds of different roles, writing, acting, producing, directing. Like he knows what's going on.
And he tells, I think, quite like some anecdotal things. The casting is perfect. It is perfect.
Is anyone upset? Is anyone like, I don't like how you...
Oh, you haven't seen? He's giving so many interviews about like studio execs calling him to like cuss him out. Like, I can't believe you did that. They feel that the episode was about them, and he's like, "It's not about you." Or like,
that's good.
You know, yeah. There's one where a studio executive is crying because he wasn't thanked in the Golden Globes by the talent.
Oh, that's probably happened so many times.
And he's like, "Someone just called me to yell at me because it's so good." Yeah, you gotta watch it. Yeah, you have to.
You know what? That's like. I don't know what that could be. Like, is that an Instagram account? Is that a TV show? I don't know. But it's like all the executive, like, I want that coverage of the Oscars. You know how you get the red carpet coverage? You get like behind the scenes coverage. They now even do interviews in the green room of the Oscars. I want the hallway coverage of the executives that are crying.
Oh, that's what I know. Want. That's got to be like
who's crying because they lost? Who's crying because their movie won, but they didn't get thanked?
Seth Rogen is delivering it to you.
He's providing that. All right, I guess I have to see. I always end up with every conversation. I'm always like, I have to see that show now. I have to, but I never do. I don't have time.
Soon enough.
Well, now that Andor's over, I might, because I'm not watching like 3 episodes a week anymore. So
that's right. That's right. Okay, so let's talk about being bilingual. That is
the topic of this episode.
That is the topic of this week's episode, being bilingual. We talk about, just what that has been like for Claudia and myself, what that means. Claudia gives us some, some research. It was really fun. It was really interesting, actually. I've been thinking about it a lot since our combo.
It's been I think it's such a broad topic. It lends itself to so just keep chewing on it and keep thinking about it, even as you go on through your life, through your days. How do I use this and how does it affect me and what does it all mean? We also get into some fun stuff on the episode, like we previewed. We get into some shows. We get into some TV. We get into some theater. A lot of fun, interesting chatter. So yeah, that's our episode coming up.
Let's do it. Let's dive into our conversation. Let's begin with our culture clash flashback. This is a culture clash we experienced in the past. Mine is voltage converters.
Oh, gosh.
The big, and you know which ones I'm referring to.
I mean, tell me about it.
The big, probably this size, right? Like a size of a brick and then some, that we had all over our house in Peru, that we had to have in our house in Peru when we moved back in 98, because all of our appliances, I'm talking like TVs, microwaves, our Nintendo, all of the things, our washer, our dryer that we took back with us to
Peru,
needed a huge voltage converter to work.
Yeah.
And even if, I want to say also, even the stuff that we didn't bring back, the stuff that we acquired in Peru, probably also needed that, because I don't think there were a lot of brands available in Peru at that time. I think a lot of them
we
were
imported
American.
them.
Yeah. So everywhere you went, you just had to have your huge artifact, because artifacts were not small at that time. Appliances were huge. And this big voltage converter.
It was a brick we lugged around the house. It's
so heavy. It's I want to get my Super Nintendo to work, but I also need this huge brick. You want to come and play, and let's set it up. And it's just the voltage converter here, the Nintendo here. Let's play. Let's rock and roll.
And
it's
think
just
there were smaller ones, more modern ones available at the time. But in our small little town, this is what we had. We had this big brick that we lugged around everywhere. Because I think that lasted a few years, and then I think by year 4 or 5 we got more modern ones. But when we
we
arrived,
started buying, or maybe we just going back to just why do I need this huge brick now to use anything electronic?
I know exactly what you're talking about, and it was awful because first of all, we didn't have a lot, and we lived in a really big house, 2-story house with our grandparents were there, our parents, you, me, and we all had stuff. So we all needed this thing. Yeah. And there were several, each TV had one. Each person with a television set in their room had their brick next to their TV.
The microwave had one.
The microwave had one. So, but those weren't moved. You weren't allowed to take those and use them for your curling iron. No, that wasn't allowed. But we had a mobile one. We had one that was for our stuff that we could lug around the house.
For our blow dryer.
And I remember that one. It was are you using it? Yes, I'm using it. And damn it. And you couldn't steal one from the other room. It was awful. It was god awful.
And you had to use it, or else you would ruin your precious appliance, electronic device. It would stop working in 2 seconds, and you would not be able to acquire another one because it was from the United States, imported. So yes. Anyway, a piece of an essential piece that I do not miss at all, but just was horrified that was part of our regular life.
It was part of our day-to-day. It was part of our day-to-day life. I still remember that thing. It was heavy, too. It was big and heavy.
Bulky. Nothing of it was good, except that it made our stuff work.
Yeah, those were bad times, man. Those were bad times.
It's rough.
It was rough growing up in Peru in the 90s. My culture clash that I want to share is from my time living in London. Lived in London for a year. And it has to do with like the lack of juice culture and smoothie culture in London at that time. Because I have heard
what year? What year
in London.
Did you live there?
So I was there 2015 through 2016.
That's right. Okay.
So we're talking 10 years ago.
Yeah.
10 years ago already. Flew by.
Yeah.
But I have friends that live there still now, and they've told me it's gotten better, but that it's still not great. So here's, I know. So here's the thing.
What is going on?
Growing up in Peru, we would wake up every morning, and part of your breakfast was always a fruit juice of some kind.
A heavy, not really.
It was like papaya.
Two options. Papaya or orange and papaya?
No, papaya pineapple. That's the one I would get. Papaya
okay.
pineapple was the one that they would make.
Maybe in the later years they started adding and like mixing it up and throwing some orange.
But it was basically whatever like fruits we had. We always had papaya, and then it was like papaya. You could do papaya banana, papaya orange, papaya,
and it was
pineapple.
a thick juice. Like
it was a thick
smoothie
juice.
style.
So we would wake up, and that's like your breakfast every morning. You had to have your juice, no sugar, but your juice, and then whatever else you wanted. So I was used to that, and whenever I would come visit in the States, you know, like if we were like traveling or if I was visiting friends here, they have a very like vibrant juice and smoothie culture. Even back in the 90s, I remember when we were living in Visalia, they had Jamba Juice. Like that was a thing already.
Oh yeah, I can't even remember. But yes, I mean, I don't remember lacking in juice ever.
Yeah,
but maybe it's because I didn't live in London.
Maybe. But even what I'm saying is even living in the times that I would go to the States, like, if you're spending like a week here visiting friends, you'd wake up in the morning and you can go to a juice bar and get like a smoothie and say like, I want banana, strawberry, this, and they would make it on the go.
Yeah.
So when I get to London and I'm settling in the first few days there, I'm like, oh, let me go grocery shopping. And when I was thinking about breakfast, I'm like, I'm obviously not going to buy like store-bought juice. No, I'm going to make my own in my, blender, like any good Peruvian would. Just whatever fruit is in season. I know there's not too many fruits in London. It's an island. I know that. We're not in tropical Peru where we have all the fruits in the world. Like,
right.
I'll make whatever is available to me here, but I'll make my juice every morning.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store. There's only like apples, pears, bananas, and like grapes. And I'm like, okay, this is no good.
Yeah.
Can't make a smoothie out of this. Sorry.
Right.
So I was like, you know what I'm going to do? Let me look up what a place close to my house or a place en route to school, to college.
Right.
And see like what's the best juice place around. Let me find my spot. What's going to be my juice spot?
Right.
That's what I'm going to do every morning.
Yeah.
Googling Google Maps, looking around, Googling juices, Googling like juice, like smoothies, London, like nothing. I couldn't
my God.
I found like two places. One was 40 minutes away. And the other one wasn't even like a juice bar. It was a cafe that also sold juices. And I was like, this is not,
What?
I ended up finding one small little tiny like kiosk-y place that sold like smoothies.
Okay.
And I went to try. It was in a metro station, like a subway station, right? Mm-hmm. So I got out at that subway station just to hunt down this place and see what it was.
Oh my God, you were on a mission.
I was on a mission. Bought my smoothie, and when I'm getting there, I'm like, yeah, one smoothie, this, and he's like, okay, do you want like how many like fruits you want? I said how many? I said like 3, I think, or 2 or whatever. He was like, all right, come here, pick them out. You had to pick either a protein powder or like they would mix in oats or they would mix it. And I was like, no, I just want my morning juice. I was like, I just want fresh squeezed like fruit. Wasn't happening.
Then. Yeah.
And guess what? Guess what happened? That's when I started drinking tea. And I'm like, this is why these guys drink tea all day. This week, we want to talk about being bilingual. And for that, I've done a little bit of research that I'm going to share with the class. And then I want to get into like our experiences being bilingual, how we felt about it when we were kids, how we think about it now.
Yep.
So to start off, a little bit of research. So what I discovered was that, well, being bilingual used to be viewed as a negative. Like there were concerns about it was thought to maybe confuse people and to maybe even hold them back, especially children.
I could see that.
They used to think that it would make it more difficult for a child to learn a language properly if they were learning two at a time. That was like what was thought at the time.
Right.
But now, present day, that's all changed. Now being bilingual is viewed very, very positively. So I found Professor Li Wei at the Institute of Education at the University College London says that in the bilingual brain, all our languages are active all at the same time. And the continual effort of suppressing a language when speaking another, along with the mental challenge that comes from regularly switching between languages, exercises our brain. It improves concentration, problem solving, memory, and creativity.
For sure. I could totally see all of that. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
It feels like, of course, common sense. Anybody who is bilingual or, fluent in multiple languages clearly knows, because you can remember.
That's the experience of doing it.
Yeah. You're like, wait, that. There's just so many thoughts happening in the background, aside from what do I want to communicate? There's so many other thoughts.
Exactly.
that are happening.
So it turns out that the turning point from going from being seen as something negative to something positive happened around 2007. This was like the big discovery. Ellen Bialystok and her team discovered in Toronto that bilingualism delays the onset of dementia.
Wow. Could totally see that too.
Yeah.
Because it's just, again, cognitive, mental exercise to keep you sharp, to keep you working, right?
Exactly. And that was what made everyone think, wait a minute, maybe this is like a good thing. Okay. And later on, it's also been discovered that it helps recover significantly better if you have stroke. Bilingual people recover significally better.
Wow.
Yeah. So a lot of cognitive
how is
strength,
that test conducted?
Right?
Yeah.
Listen, didn't double click on that one. I was like, oh, this is interesting. Okay, let me jot it down. So basically the discoveries are learning any new skill, really, especially as an adult, will help and make it fortify your brain, right? But the reason languages are so powerful is because it's a particularly broad and complex skill. And the more complex the skill that you're learning and keeping up with, then the more it benefits your brain. So that's why languages are particularly impactful. So, having seen that being bilingual was viewed as something kind of negative to now being seen as a benefit, I'm wondering how you have felt about being bilingual throughout your life. Have you always viewed it as a positive? Have you ever struggled with it or found it challenging? How did you see it as a kid?
I never saw it as negative. I don't know if I truly understood the potential, all of the benefits. You know how they tell you, eat your veggies when you're little, and you're like, why? And they're like, because it's good for you, and you just don't know why, and you don't really buy it, and you're like, I don't I'd rather eat chocolate, but then you learn, and then you feel it, and you're just more in tune with all the things. So, our parents were like, it's great for you to speak two languages. And yeah, sure, I know that it serves me to speak to people in the US and in Peru, but I don't know if I could really just understand all of the positives of knowing two languages, right? With time, that became real clear. I think when we moved back to Peru and I realized how people were so judgy but impressed with our level of language and how we got a lot of just positive feedback about knowing the language in school and in an academic setting, how we could take all the standardized tests with not a lot of work, if any, and how that was seen positively, then that was kind of a nod as hey, maybe this thing that I'm kind of taking for granted because I already know it is actually really good. Oh, this is something, and people would compliment that. Heavily. And I think that's so around high school, it really started as oh, this is really a good skill to have and to hone, and kind of just felt great because I already have it, it's
right. But you found out after the fact that
that I was all of this things that my parents were actually saying is actually true. They weren't lying. Maybe I should eat my veggies,
Yeah. That's funny because I I did have a moment. I don't think I ever saw it as a negative, but I did have a moment where I was annoyed with it, where I didn't like it, which is, I don't really think I was, even though like Spanish was my very first language and I learned English at 4, I don't really consider that I was bilingual until we moved back to Peru when I was 11. Because when we were living in the States, in elementary school, I spoke Spanish, but I didn't read it or write it. And I think we've been very clear in this podcast that I didn't speak it very well.
I mean, I think you were probably bilingual for your age. I don't think a lot of 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds are reading or writing, right?
No, but I mean, through up until 11 years old, I wasn't reading or writing in Spanish, and I wasn't.
Right.
Okay. So I don't think I was bilingual if by bilingual we want to say it's being fluent.
Right. Okay.
In 2 languages. I wasn't fluent in 2 languages. I was fluent in English, and I spoke a very casual, broken Spanish. And then when we moved to Peru at age 11, that's when I think I became truly bilingual, because I became fluent in both languages.
Yeah. What I would challenge about that for both of us is that I think that we had it there, but it was dormant, because we became fully bilingual like in a month. Like, it was insanely fast. It was kind of there. And then all of a sudden, oh, wait, I can read and write?
Yeah. Like, we didn't struggle in school at all.
At all.
Like I was top of my class. Like,
we had accents, American accents, which were like a little embarrassing. We shoved them out. But we could read and write and like had good grammar and had really strong skills.
I guess I just didn't think of myself as bilingual.
That's the thing. Like, I think bilingual feels like this kind of more statusy thing, and it's like, well, I can't be, but like my husband's Spanish I think is pretty good. I think he's like at an intermediate level, has given like a talk in Spanish, can read it, write, understand it, and he's like, oh no, I'm not bilingual. I'm like, excuse me, you are the definition of bilingual. Like, this is
if you can be fluent in it,
but he's like, oh no, and I'm like, you are. I just think that we just hold like fluent or bust, like, and it is fluent, but I guess like native speaker fluency or bust. Like,
or
that's
else
the
you can't
standard
have a qualifier. Yeah.
I
I definitely felt like that growing, like,
for sure.
I felt like that. And when we were in Peru and I finally felt like fluent in both fully, that's when it got annoying for me, because I have several memories. Like, this happened to me multiple times where like, so one time we were in a creative writing class, lenguaje, which is like Spanish class,
like English, yeah.
So, and it was like creative writing. We had to like, they gave us this picture. We had to write a story about the picture, blah blah blah. I handed in, great, and I'm telling you, I'm killing it at school. Like, I'm always getting like the highest grades in the class.
I know it because I know you. Can I guess?
Guess. Go ahead. Guess.
You wrote it in English.
No.
Oh, damn it.
Almost, no. Almost. So the teacher...
Half of it was in English.
No, just one paragraph. That's the trippy thing. I didn't even notice I did it. Like,
okay.
The
that
teacher,
sounds like...
But this happened to me. This happened to me multiple times, where like I would get things back and there would be like half a paragraph, 2 sentences circled in red, and I would get points deducted. And I was annoyed. I was like, how could this, like, I literally
You were annoyed because you got an A and not an A+.
No, I was annoyed. Well, also, but more than that, I was annoyed because I was like, I didn't notice it. That's what annoyed me. That I wasn't conscious of it. I was like, I sat down and wrote this freaking piece of homework in 1 hour. It's not like I stopped and then I came back and wrote in Spanish. And then I sat down and I finished it in 1 hour. When did the English come in? When?
Yeah.
So it felt that, also coupled with the fact that the not being able to find certain words in Spanish, so I would say them in English.
For sure.
Felt to me, it inside my, like, even though it was fine, inside my body, I didn't like it because it felt like, you know how people talk about intrusive thoughts?
Yeah.
And they're like, like a thought that you can't control. That's what English felt like at that time. I think as a little kid, I was so like annoyed that I wasn't in control of it. And so I was really bothered by my bilingualness at that age, like 11, 12, those first few years in Peru.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And I can relate. Like, I don't remember a specific moment that was like, oh, I mixed it in and annoyed me in that way. But I would get tripped up on it a lot. Like, I meant to say something English. And I think that was also us just really folding in Spanish.
Yeah.
You know, because we were, like, English was our stronger language, 100%.
Yeah.
It's what we spoke at home. So, like, it's like making that switch. And, like, obviously now, like, as adults, you know, where we can clearly define the languages, we've talked about how even, like, when we spend a bunch of time in Peru and then we come back to the States, we're like, maybe a word will come out. Or sometimes I'll be on the phone with you, I hang up, and I turn to my husband, I say something in Spanish.
Yeah.
Because I was just speaking with you. Like, that will still happen, but now it's like I'm typing an email in English. I'm WhatsApping in Spanish. I can differentiate the two. But for sure, in that time when we're folding both languages, making them both a part of ourselves and our lives and our identities, that has to happen. You know?
Yeah.
And now, like, present day with our kids, in relationship with our kids, obviously being able to give them the true gift of being able to connect with more people, the obvious stuff, work in more places, live in different places,
have access to, like, different information. Like, one of my favorite things about being bilingual is that you can read a book that you love in its original, like, Spanish books in Spanish, English books in English, no translation.
Placing your right food order when you travel, if at anything like that, like anything, like just being able to connect with more people, live, like all of those things, study in different places, in much more places, right? All of that obvious stuff. But also, and I think this is relating a little bit to the stuff that you were mentioning in your introduction, but gifting them the ability to think in a different way. Speaking a different language connects you to a group of people that, you know, gives you insight to who those people are, because the way they communicate, how they think, why certain things are the way they are for them. I'm so excited to give them that. Like, truly, no one explained that to us when we were learning the language. That is something that I valued a lot, like, now, later in life as an adult.
I think any tool allows us the ability to know ourselves better. Yeah. And I think different languages
and express ourselves
do that.
In different ways.
Because when you, through expressing yourself, you learn things about yourself, right? And I think there is this thing that happens when you learn a new language where it's like, oh, who am I in this language? How do I speak in this language? Like, what is my personality in this language? How am I funny in this language? Am I, which is a really cool process of discovery. That you don't get to have that if you don't speak a second language, because when you learn your first language, those things don't happen consciously. Those things just happen. Like, you find your sense of humor when you find it. You don't find it through language necessarily, right?
Yeah.
But when you're speaking a second language, because you're not too familiar with it, you have to be more conscious about, like, wait, he says the word bacán. Am I a person that says the word bacán, or am I not? Let me try it out. Yeah. You try it out a couple of times. You're like, oh, I don't like it. I don't think I'm a person that says that, you know?
Yeah.
That's such a fun process of self-discovery.
And you know what? It still happens because, I mean, also the English language and slang is used in a variety of ways in this huge country. You know, like the phrase, some type of way, right? It's not a phrase that I would use, right? It's just not, it's too foreign for me to use, like, that makes me feel some type of way, but I've heard it.
It's so weird that you find that phrase to be foreign. That phrase to me is, like, very.
But you've never
common.
used it.
No, but if it came out of my mouth, it wouldn't feel weird.
It would be so weird if you said it.
What? I feel some type of way about it, you know?
No.
I could pull it off.
I mean, like, I just, like, to me, but it's like when I hear people say it, that, like, oh, just so naturally, I'm just like, I don't know if I can swing that one. I don't know if I can say that one, you know?
Yeah. I completely understand that, but I think it's one thing to, like, learn new phrases and try them on and see.
Yeah. And to say, like, oh, this is for me, this is not for me.
Yeah. And the hardest thing, I think, is finding your sense of humor in a new language.
Also, being mad in a different language.
Being mad and finding the right
words to express your
is
anger.
hard because they all come out that you go back to your mother tongue so quick.
When
real quick.
In my, like, my early years of my marriage, when I was mad at my husband, I did not communicate in English. Like that, those are just like, that's not like, I can't don't
do
know
English
how
mad.
to express. Yeah, no.
Can't
so yes, I think jokes, like just emotions are just so much more easier, obviously, naturally in your mother tongue or in the language that you're most comfortable with, right?
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk about really quickly in being bilingual is if you've come across any crazy translations ever.
I was just thinking, I want to talk about some literal translations right now, like literal. There's some like literal translations that are rough to hear, that like hurt my ears. Like, the other day I heard, the carpet, right, on the floor. And someone said like, oh, la carpeta, which is not.
No, honey bunny.
Like, that's no.
No, a carpeta is a desk.
Carpeta is a desk. I mean, and let's just say, yeah, Spanish in different countries is
in Peru, carpeta is desk. Maybe in another
desk.
country it means something else. Yeah,
and carpet in Peru, it would translate to alfombra, right? Alfombra is carpet. Carpeta is desk. But I heard that, I was like, oh, cringe. Like, no, I can't. So yeah, those are rough to hear.
those are rough. Those are rough to hear. But there's also sometimes really fun. Like, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite things that happens in Peru is that we will tropicalize any American sounding thing. Like, we'll just tropicalize it. We'll spell it how we want. So like, yogurt doesn't have a T. Yogurt is yogur. That's how we spell it. We spell it it ends with R. That's how we spell it. And
ketchup. Ketchup.
Yeah. That's a whole other thing.
It's ketchup, by the way.
My favorite thing ever is I was at a restaurant. We have sandwich in English and we have sanguche in Spanish. That's how we've tropicalized it. Sanguche with a G. Sanguche, right? It's already been tropicalized. It's sanguche if you want to do it in Peruvian. Yeah. I go to a restaurant and in the menu, it says sanduche with a D. And I'm like, this person is really doing something here. They are really doing something here. Sanduche. And I was like, this is great. I want to take a picture. I love this word. Let's start using sanduche.
One of the OG's best ones, Claudia. What? Watchman.
Oh my God.
Watchman.
The Watchman.
Watchman, right? In Peru, you will call out Watchman. It comes from watchman. Watchman is a guard, a security guard.
Security guard, yeah.
Yeah, is Watchman. And that is not just like, something that Claudia or our family says. That is the standard word.
The words man, watch, watchy mean nothing in Spanish. I mean, it's gibberish. But the word in itself, watchiman, security guard.
Watchiman, and for short, some people will say wachi.
Wachi. El wachi. The wachi.
That's the best one.
I love it. This is one of my favorite things. I enjoy so much about Peru. Yeah, so much.
No, it's so
tropicalizing English words.
Okay, let's move on to our current faves. This is a segment where we share something that we're currently loving or missing. It can be Peruvian or American. My current fave is the TV show Your Friends and Neighbors with John Hamm.
My gosh.
I know, I'm obsessed. It's also like such a throwback because I'm counting down to like Friday when they release the episode.
I love that this is back in style now. I love that TV shows are doing this again.
Friday, my show's gonna drop, and I sometimes can't watch it Friday night because we have plans or something. But I cannot wait, and I'm just loving it because it is a slow burn. Like I'm like, oh, this is gonna be light and fun, and it is. But then it's just like, they start peeling layers and adding things and drama here, sprinkling it over there. So fun, like entertaining.
I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's good. It's
I'll do that. There's been like too many shows that have come out and I just missed all of them.
I feel like I've missed everything except this one, and I'm enjoying it and I'm loving it. And highly recommend. Very entertaining.
What's your favorite thing about it?
Well, first of all, John Hamm is very easy on the eyes and really fun.
John Hamm.
And John Hamm being John Hamm. Like, I can watch him in everything because he's so good too. Like, you believe it, you know?
But is he playing into his comedic side, or is this more of a drama, like back to Mad Men drama?
Drama. It's not as hard, like, it's not as dramatic as Mad Men. No, that was like I would say it's a different type of show. This one, I wanted to watch something that was going to be light and funny. Like I didn't want something so deep.
Okay.
But this is giving me also, there is like kind of like, what's going on? Who did this? What, like, there's a murder.
There's mystery vibes.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a bit of mystery vibe. Also, his life is like unraveling because he's a hedge fund manager who just lost his job, lost his family, divorce, lots of drama and gossip.
Okay.
It's just juicy and delicious and fun.
Yeah. Me, on the other hand, I went the opposite direction, and I got so overwhelmed by all the TV shows that came out recently, and I was like, I don't have time. I can't see all of this, and I just chose one, and I chose like the most hardcore, like not casual watching material. Like
what did you watch?
Andor. You don't watch Andor.
No.
Andor is like heavy. Andor is like, it's about revolution, of course. They're like preparing for the revolution. So like rebel forces are trying to band together. There's like people here, people in Congress, people working here, but like the rebels, boots on the ground. And it's intense.
Sounds stressful.
It's stressful. You have a hole in your stomach the entire time. You're like, who's going to die this episode?
No. Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I can't. I watched Adolescence, and that's the last hard thing I could watch. That was rough.
Oh my gosh, I loved Adolescence.
It was amazing. But
anyway, Andor is not my current fave, even though I do love it, and I'm like, watch it, and like everyone should go watch it because it's amazing. If you like any kind of like rebellion, you should go see it. It's amazing. Anyway, but my current fave is actually the theater.
Oh, okay. What did you go see lately?
First of all, it's the theater in general. Just like,
okay. It's just the theater. Yeah.
I have to say, I've been going so much.
That's very broad that you just.
I'm going to pare it down. I'm going to get into it. But it has to be the theater in general just because I've been to so many good things lately. I went to go see what I think is like the best play of the year so far.
Oh.
Like, I think by December, I'm going to be saying, yep, that was the best.
Oh, really? Which one?
It's called Maybe Happy Ending. Terrible name.
Okay.
But Maybe Happy Ending. It's a musical.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about these two, like, it's in the future in Korea. The staging and the production, I'm not even going to get into it. The staging and the production is ridiculous, futuristic. Like, you feel like you're in Korea of the future. Like, it looks amazing.
Wow. That would be so cool to see on the theater.
Yeah, and it's a love story between two little robots.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And the robots, like when Darren Criss gets on that stage, the first 10 minutes, I see him and I'm like, Darren Criss is a robot. He's lied to us. He's lied to us this entire time. He looks like a robot. He's acting like a robot. He moves. His moves throughout the entire thing. He's moving like a robot. And I'm like, what is going on? And it is the cutest, sweetest story. Very hopeful, very uplifting, but also has a lot of like layers about love. What is love? The people we love, who loves us. And basically it's like, okay, these robots they're older models. So they've been helper robots. So their owners have discarded them. So they live in like these little apartments of like a wasteland where like old robots go to retire.
Oh my gosh.
But they're old. So they don't make their replacement parts anymore. They don't make new batteries for them. So they're going to die eventually. And they know it. Like, because they can't get repaired, they can't get fixed, they can't get updated. Yeah, it's this really lovely, like, love story between these two robots within that world.
That sounds fun. Now I want to go watch that.
Anyone who comes to New York to visit me and is like, let's go to Broadway, that's where I'm going to take them.
Yes.
Because...
Okay, I want to go.
Now, you know me, my temperament, the emotion of being, like, in awe of something is not an emotion that is easily accessible to me. It doesn't happen to me a lot. It's just not part of my temperament usually. You know, it comes with being like a glass half empty kind of girl, like we've discussed before. In this show, Lucy, I spent most of the show like with my eyes watering and smiling.
Oh my God. Which by the way, you look some type of way right now. So, having finished our conversation, how did that land for you?
Okay, this was a really, really interesting one. I really thought about it a lot since we recorded that episode.
Same.
And because I was thinking a lot about something you mentioned about how like different languages give you access to different cultures, different people, and to being able to understand them better.
Yeah.
And as I was thinking about that, I thought of Spain because I spent some time in Spain, and how I got a peek into Spanish culture and Spanish people through their language.
Yeah.
And so what happened was, like, the Spaniards they use very colorful language. Very colorful language. And they use it in their everyday life seamlessly. It's shocking to no one, except to like a foreigner like me who was hearing these like phrases for the first time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm alarmed. But then you get used to it, right?
Yeah.
So phrases like, me cago en la leche, you know? It's just so like, oh my God, it's so graphic.
Which literally means I shit on the milk.
Yeah. So there's an image for you, you know? Yeah, me cago en la leche, tío. Like, they would just throw that around everyday life. And I think that really, like, represents, like, the bold spirit that Spanish people have. They're very direct and confident, kind of borders on brash sometimes. But it's just... that's just who they are. At least that's the impression that I got of the Spanish communities that I got to interact with. Like, that's just the spirit of them. If you're making like a general statement, I think that's a pretty accurate one. And it was through their language that I was like, oh, this is where that comes from. Like, yeah.
For someone who isn't
out there.
For sure. For someone, if a listener that isn't bilingual, someone who's listening to this that's not bilingual, you can kind of make that parallel with English and, like, you know, American English and the Brits, and how through their language you can kind of get a sense of how
the stiff upper lip.
And just like the differences, the nuances in their culture, and like it is a lens in. I was thinking a bit more.
British person will insult you and you won't notice.
Yeah, exactly.
They'll be very kind about it.
Very composed.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this as well because I was actually listening to this week's episode on Ezra Klein podcast about AI. And it really had nothing to do with being bilingual or anything, but one of the points with AI is like how sometimes with Google Translate and maybe AI, you don't really see, like, you could definitely see the need of needing to know other languages to communicate as not as important anymore. Not as, like, you can get by in another country, you can translate anything, you could communicate with people with these tools. However, you will miss out on this broadening your mind, your way of thinking, your deep understanding and empathy for this different way of life and of thinking.
Yeah.
And so I'm just wondering if it is even, we've always thought it was important. I think there was a huge emphasis on like giving language to kids at an early age. And I wonder if, like, actually now even more so, like, we have to even get into it more so this doesn't get lost. So this ability of empathy and deep understanding does not, like, you know, that it's not something that we lose, that it's something that we continue to pass on to children. I wonder if it's even much, like, if it's just much more important. If it's not for the need to communicate than for these other needs or abilities.
I would think it is more important because it's the current tension that we're living in present day, right? It's this tension of technology and modernity brings ease and brings the possibility to do more and faster, right?
Exactly.
And one of those things is communication. But we've seen, I think we have enough experience with modern technologies shaping our lives now that we understand that ease comes along with a flattening out of other things. That ease is at a cost of, like, even when it comes to like something as basic as social media now that we all understand how it has impacted us, like the ease of that, speed and communication, speed to shop, speed to like learn, see everyone's lives, that ease has come at a cost.
At a cost,
of, like,
for sure.
Flattening out other things, right?
We learned that the hard way. And that's kind of like the point of what, he was getting to in this podcast about education and all that. But I was just thinking about it specifically about languages and being bilingual.
I think
and how
you can do the parallel. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I really want to make sure that this is something that it's just very important for me to pass on to kids for all of the other reasons too, of like heritage and feeling the tie to Peru. Yeah. But also for this.
I think it's a clear parallel of like, it's not just, don't just rely on technology to communicate as you travel. Don't travel through your phone. If you're out there in a new country, don't just be doing this the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Talking into your phone, translating.
Try
to connect to a person. Try to like actually I've had experiences where I've spoken to people, they didn't know English or Spanish. I went with a friend at the time. She was living in France, and we went to an island called Corsica. Mm-hmm. In Corsica, people speak French, people speak Italian. Mm-hmm. Because it's an island that's been passed back and forth, conquered back and forth between French and Spain through France and Italy through its history. So no one spoke English, no one spoke Spanish. And those are the only two languages I know.
Right.
So I was on this island, like literally 100% dependent on my friend, Choni, who speaks French.
Right.
No one understood me. I couldn't, we would go to a store and she'd be trying on clothes and I'd be looking at something and people would come up to me and speak in French or Italian. And I'd be like, she taught me a couple, I'm like, you got to teach me a couple of words just to be polite. And I'm like, bonsoir, and I would just mumble my way in Spanish because Spanish is also a Latin language, just like French and Italian. Yeah. So in Spanish, I would try to be like, precio, how much, cuánto, dinero.
For sure. In Europe, I think Spanish gets you a long way. There are, I don't know if there's just I understand that English is a universal language, right? But Spanish, I feel like it does come in handy. There's so many words that sound similar that you're like, okay.
You can get by. You can get by sometimes. Because especially in Italian, I would hear the prices in Italian and I'd be like, I know what that means. I got you, girl. Yeah. I can count money. Yeah,
exactly. French too. I definitely, lots of parts of Europe where I'm like, okay, I feel that Spanish is going to get me further. So I'm going to pull that one out.
Yes. And also, there's also sadly, Americans in certain parts of the world have gotten this reputation of not trying to integrate into the other culture, just coming in and just speaking English and expecting to be understood.
Yeah.
It's not everywhere, but in some places I noticed there's that reputation. So I'm like, let's just whip out the Spanish because that's always better received.
That wraps it up for today. Subscribe so you don't miss the next episode and check us out on Instagram at Where We Land Pod. Ciao, ciao.
Hasta la vista, baby. Where we land, we know that some immigrant experiences are harder than others, especially for those in the margins of our current legal system. So if you would like to help, we encourage you to support organizations that provide services for immigrants and champion their rights. You can find a list of organizations in the show notes.